The man who cursed the Buddha and came back as his dog. Some stories aren't meant to entertain. They're meant to reveal, to wake up something ancient in us. There's a kind of anger that doesn't shout. It doesn't scream or slam fists into the sky. It just lingers, like a silent grudge against life itself. Have you ever blamed the Buddha, not with words, but with the heavy silence of, "Why me?" Let me tell you about a man who did. A man who cursed the Buddha and came back as his own dog. His name was Daniel. Sharp mind, sharper tongue, a heart bruised by betrayal. Daniel wasn't born bitter. Suffering shaped him, or so he believed. When his wife was killed by a drunk driver who walked free, Daniel stopped believing in justice or mercy. Each morning, he'd look into the mirror and mutter, "If the Buddha sees this pain, then he must be doing nothing." He didn't just lose faith. He loaded it with rage. An invisible curse whispered daily. He fed stray dogs in the park, not out of compassion, but with the thought, at least they don't lie about the world being fair. But karma doesn't need to be loud. It just waits. One cold winter night, Daniel saw a dog, thin, limping, barely alive. For reasons he couldn't explain, he picked it up, wrapped it in his coat, and brought it home. He named the dog Echo. Days became weeks. Daniel, the man who cursed the Buddha, found strange peace in caring for this fragile creature. But Echo often stared at him, with eyes too human, too knowing. 6 months later, Daniel died quietly in his sleep. But that wasn't the end. What came next is whispered in old Buddhist tales. Daniel woke up, not in a heavenly realm, not in a hellish one, but inside the body of a dog. His dog, Echo. He remembered everything. Every wordless curse, every moment of bitterness. And now, he had to live as the being he once pitied. For years, Echo Daniel lived with a kind old widow who showed him a kind of love he never believed existed. He couldn't speak, couldn't curse, could only listen. And in that silence, the whispers of karma grew louder than ever. Karma doesn't punish. It reflects. Daniel's anger wasn't evil. It was a seed, one that had to bloom in stillness, so it could be understood. Sometimes the universe doesn't answer because it's giving you space to hear your own echo. As the Buddha taught, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal law. But can love be learned when you no longer have words? Can compassion awaken when you're forced to feel, not speak? Daniel, as Echo, lived a life of quiet service. And maybe that was his true prayer, not the curses he once threw into the void. If this story made you pause, if it stirred something unfinished inside you, that wasn't an accident. The Dharma doesn't rush, but it always finds you again. If you've ever whispered anger into silence, remember that silence isn't empty. It's full of echoes waiting to return. If this story touched you, leave a word in the comments, even just peace. Let's create a space for compassion and truth together.